Hello, you lot again. All right, we are at 5. In this one, we are going to get into, it should be a fairly quick one. I'm literally getting into some more advanced thoughts about some advanced techniques in what makes a charting itself good. I mean, the game's been out a week. I'm saying what makes it good, and this is just heavily opinionated. In some, little tricks and things that I've ended up finding in helping people out. So ultimately, there are a couple of them. I'm trying to think from the head. I should have written these down, but you don't know me. In making it fair. So I've mentioned it in a previous video, but one thing to be aware of is the fact that this lower level should be where most of your notes end up going. Because this middle row here is eye level at fucking self, right? If you are going to do any notes in the middle here, which is, I mean, it's absolutely perfect to use, especially the very, very two middle, because these side ones you can get away with because they are more, well, they're on the side, so you still got vision past them. But if you're going to be putting notes like directly behind those notes like that, it's very unfair on the player. They can barely see as it just blocks everything. So you can go on the sides there as long as the notes straight after are then in the middle, and vice versa. So you'll find a lot of my charts when I'm going kind of sporadic, I always, if I'm alternating between left and right, always do them in ways things aren't blocked. So when looking at something like this, if we're coming on as a player and how things appear, these outside ones will work just fine. These will work just well, and the up. This pattern doesn't work at all. Everything's down a bit. But everything is clear from our point of view. Right here, eye level, you can see everything. The notes aren't actually that far in the actual game. It's a little bit closer to themselves, and so we can see everything. The unfairness starts to come from, as I said, primarily the middle. You can see, like, if you're approaching right here, right, you don't really get much of a chance to see behind. If it's also far enough back in the lower row after a middle thing like that, you don't get it as well. The only time I've found it ever works is a quarter note downwards. At eye level, you can see directly what's after it, but anything beyond that and the middle block, well, name implies blocking it. And so that's one thing that I personally just feel like people need to avoid. Second thing is, a lot of people get angry with it, but I use it quite a lot, is crossing over the colors. So blue, as we know, is in the right hand side, red we have in the left 2 lanes. People start to get a little concerned when the blue is on the left, red is on the right, and then that's fine. It's more a case of, I find if you use it in a fair way, and what I mean by fair is usually in a bit of slower sections, or if they're just like a single note out ahead that you're waiting, like where you get time to prepare it. The people who are doing stuff like this, and when I say doing this, I mean like that isn't too bad, but literally like on a 180 BPM track, they're going shit like this, like it just doesn't, it does not work. Shit like that. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. I have found things like this are possible. Things like this, when you have to physically cross the controllers. I find if it's at an angle, it's not too bad. I haven't heard any complaints about that. But if you're doing something like this, just be wary that it may be funny, or you may consider it if you're a troll to an extent. Oh, they can hit their controllers into each other. But I mean, we do all have pretty expensive gear, and so a lot of people are very cautious of this type of style. I'm talking like I'm a bloody parent. Like, if I had something like that coming, I wouldn't go for score at all. I would just slowly just do 2 little slashes, 1 on each side like that. But the score seeker will want to like slice this one kind of like in the middle, then upwards, and maybe like downwards on this one. but if they hit the controls in real life, it's a bit of a mess. It's just annoying. It's a dick move. It's pretty much to say it, right? Mines. Now the thing about mines, they're all good and well. You just got to make sure that you're also not using them to block view. So and using them in here and then having like a note behind, no one's gonna play your chart. I'm telling you that straight up. People will go to it, they'll get annoyed, won't be recommended, word of mouth, nah, downvoted, all that type of shit. Don't do it. I find one thing you've got to remember about mines as well is if you don't have any lighting, which we'll explore in a later video, they are literally just about impossible to see. So make sure to always have lighting. The only time I have used them in a different type of lighting is in Through the Fire and Flames. There's a middle section where I use lighting flashes so you can see the outsides of them for a second or so, and then they're pitch black by the time you get to them. And so it just adds that little challenge. But the fact is I'm still giving information to the player. Some other techniques I advise is for a long song, anything I'd say over 4 minutes is long and beats. It honestly is. Not everyone shares the same stamina levels, things like that, and you've got to respect that. I mean, technically you don't. I'm just giving you tips and what I personally find makes a thing. And so what I mean by that is if you're going to chart something super long, make sure to have some breather sections. And breather sections are not things that last 30 seconds, but you know, like you don't need notes in every bloody possible bit at length, songs of that length, right? Or if you still want notes and maybe there's a repeating section for a good minute or so, maybe maybe initially give the player a couple of little notes and then slowly add more into the pattern you want them to be doing at the end of it, as opposed to just having that whole minute as just the same pattern, which kind of moves into the next little tip that I have, or technique, which is teaching the player. If anyone's seen my Fire and Flames video, the bit with the mines actually, where it goes dun whoa dun dun whoa dun whoa. What I do there is I have the mines by themselves. I give them light on the first one and using the song to my benefit, where you've got to slash the outside and then slash the middle between a set of spikes. These things, mines, sorry. Yeah, so I actually look like this. Sorry. I look like this, right? And the first one they come to, the notes are actually this. So they get a bit of time, and then slowly and slowly as it goes on, these beginning notes start getting closer and closer to it, and the lighting gets darker and darker. Now I could be right immediately and throw them straight into the deep end like that, and then do the whole teach them, they're gonna fail, and then come back in so they can remember it. I don't believe that stuff. I feel like if a good chart is, if someone is a skilled player, they have a fair chance to be able to get through it on their first shot, to sight read it, not having to know previous knowledge, things like that. Big move. A lot of people may be thinking this is quite good talk, anything like that. Really mind. This is purely just what I feel makes a good chart. The other big part, alongside we're talking about making sure not to block notes, is if you are going to be having quick succession notes in different areas. What I mean by different areas is, like, instead of like this type of thing, back and forth on one bit, it's going to be going like this, or even in general for it, always make sure to think of hand placement or arm placement. So what I mean by that is, if I'm literally looking at what I've just randomly placed out there, their left hand, which is red, is going to be slashing down, going to be just down to the side, and then the blue one's going to slash. The red one then has to quickly go up to the right to slash that one downwards, and the right one's then got to cross over your red one to the left. And So they're going to be sitting there cross-armed like this, red, blue, and then red's going to be super low, and then blue's going to be super high. I can actually see that this note is going to be the hardest one. What I mean by that is this note is going to have your left hand come over, it's going to slash it, right? Your blue note, because it's a down, naturally their right hand is going to go over the top of the left one to slash down. It's not going to go underneath, no one's going to do that. It doesn't actually matter which way they go, it's going to cause a problem with either this one or this one. Let's say they decide to go over the top, so they've slashed the red one, the right hand's gone over the top to slash the blue one. Your left hand then has to go straight down to the red one, and the blue one has to come up and then down. But you've also got to, they're going to be tilting down to the red. If the blue goes underneath, which it probably will because it was just sitting on this note, and then slash down, your red one's then going to go, left hand's got to go down to reach this one, which will pull your blue one down, and then your right hand's not going to even be able to reach this. There's some edits that could easily be made here. The cross isn't too bad. So let's see if I can just change it by the positionings. What I mean by the positionings is, sorry, not the positionings, the direction. So if I there's a random pattern, there's nothing to do with the song. But if we try and get them where they need to go, so if we have a red that goes up, we can control if we want the player's hand to go underneath or not. In this case, we might want it to go. So this one, blue, right? This may not work entirely, and if I was doing this right now, I would be putting the blue one higher, like up here, because it's going to force the blue hand to be entirely over the top. So you're going to go red up to the right, blue slashes up, their left hand. You should then make this red one fair by making it go sideways, like the red up and then left. The blue one can then reach over and slash down. Now it's also at the highest it currently is, so you can give them a bit of it, be a bit nice and do it as a down left. The red one can essentially stay as it is, and then the final blue one do as. So if you can imagine it now, how their hands are going to be, it's going to be up or slash like that. Blue's going to go above. The red one's going to go underneath and slash it. Blue one's going to come down at an angle. The red then has free room to be able to go down, and the blue one's going to go up. And I know a lot of that just may have sounded convoluted, but honestly, it's just all you got to do is take it step by step, exactly how I just did it, putting your hands out and following it like this. And not just doing little pinsy things, like doing the full swings and seeing if you find there is an awkward bit to try and cross over. It does have to be mixed with speed, and that's more than slow enough to be able to get that. But yeah, that's just another thing that you'll find it, it's very apparent in the first couple of solos that I put in Through the Fire and Flames before like the big bridge and the big solo at the end. There's actually even in the teaser there's a bit where there's like, I think it's like 25 or 30 notes that are really quick in a row, and they're entirely sporadic. But you watch anyone streaming it or who've recorded or anything like that, and the majority of them end up just getting just about every single one of them, because even though they're everywhere and coming at you 100 miles an hour, it's fair in their hand position to be able to get them all, and it looks rather impressive, and they end up feeling good about themselves, which is definitely an important part. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I probably have more little techniques and things that I think about unconsciously, like I just do it in the moment, and you may end up seeing that later in me charting. But for now, that's the end of this tutorial. I'm just going to now chart the next chunk of this, which you're more than welcome to sit here and stay, but otherwise we'll see you in the next video, which is us getting into the lighting, which is very exciting. All right, so let's continue. I want them to essentially this note that I'm wanting them to hit. So essentially the thought process is behind there is as soon as you pass it, there's a little, like a doom doom ch. Oh, it's the yo do yo ch, like that. I want there to be a yo note. Now naturally I would put it down, but it's going to be blocked by the views. May not be entirely blocked. I do want it up here. So I can choose any of the 4 lanes. I'm choosing to do one on the side to give it just a tiny bit more challenge. Down here in being fair to the player, because they can make the mistake by maybe accidentally slashing to the right as opposed to slashing to the left. What I'm doing is I'm replacing one of these notes with a slash left like that. So it kind of inclines. Giving all 4 of them, although you definitely can do, the little dot, especially this end piece, gives them the fair chance of slashing then up, as opposed to having to slash all the way out here, then correct and come in. Now, my theme for this, if you heard me in the last video, was the chorus of this specific song I'm going to do with nothing but the Blue Saber, and I think that's just going to make it awesome. I'm going to do blue lighting and everything due to the song's name. I'm pretty sure I'm just going to do some slashes on every half. Delete. What I'm doing here is like, oh, ultimately, any more notes in the middle or below is blocked. I have just used the 4 middle rows, and so anything I put in the middle and down below is blocking. I'm going to clear their view by making them do a couple of these upswings like this. Got a free ground. Then do some. This to that. Okay. This one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which is again down to 30. $160. We want to get to about 150. Yes, 230. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh man, you gotta use all these. Alright, we're exactly pretty much halfway. Save map as we always do, and we'll see you in the next video for those that stay.